Hello, everybody. It's me, Teddy. I'm doing take number 2 of my interview reflection. First take, I got completely through it just to realize that I didn't have my mic turned on. Okay. So basically, what this assignment is about is it is an interview that I conducted with my wife, Cecilia Watson, for my project Spin Detect. It was used to validate my assumptions in the discovery problem within the Beyblade X community. Uh, CC is an active adult player who frequently travels for events. Uh, we've gone driving from Orlando all the way out to Tampa, which is over, an hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours. I say we because I've also attended these events, but since it's her perspective of it. Um, but I will say, going into this, I had assumed that the biggest pain points in this would just be the distance and the safety aspect of it. And while those are true, uh, it led me to realize there are two more, big pain points or points of, focus I should have. And that's regarding demographics and, how much time you have before an event or lead time, that I didn't really, factor into my initial, results, if you will. Uh, so the first major insight I would say in this interview came during the question where I specifically asked about trust. So that would be question number 3. I specifically asked her if she had ever been to or decided to not go to an event because she wasn't sure about whether or not it was legitimate or not. I was expecting her to respond with, "Oh yeah, if it's a sketchy event, I won't appear." But the answer that she actually gave me rather focused more on the fact that the events that were in our area were not necessarily kid friendly. Or excuse me, rather they were more aimed towards being kid friendly, and they weren't aimed in any way, shape, or form towards adults. Originally how I had all this planned out and how it changes my design essentially is I had a verified host icon, and that was just going to be a very simple check mark, very similar to, any check mark you would have on a platform like Facebook here. It's a verified platform. You get the little check mark box right there, right? Well, uh, you know, after speaking with her, it kind of adjusted my thinking on it that maybe, we could expand the event card metadata to include specific age class tags or, tags for different tournament type brackets, such as like the Open, which is 13 up, or the Junior Division, which is 12 and under, or 18 plus, which would be strictly an adult only or Beyblade tournament, which currently there are no 100% official adult only Beyblade tournaments. But in the case that there would be, or there are streamer events exactly like that. We wouldn't want an adult driving out, multiple hours to get to a venue just to find out that it's only for kids and only kids can participate and stuff like that. That's very upsetting, and that's something I've personally experienced. And it's a big, I would say, it's a big, big sticking point for me. Now, the second insight I had during this interview, it validated my thumb zone or my gear juggler hypothesis, um, and way more literal than I thought it would. Now, in my question, I specifically asked them when they're at the venue, whether or not, factoring in all the gear that they may have to carry, how do they use their phone? Are they trying to juggle it? Do they have both hands free? What does that look like? And she responded to me that, of course she has a friend, or in my case me, to go to the event with. This kind of justifies my need to have it be a more one-handed friendly mode. It also reinforces that, it could also be used for accessibility issues, stuff like that, for people who are disabled. Because there are modified launchers of Beyblade. You could 3D print those and take them to events and still use them. Provided you got a good referee. But those were features that I hadn't factored in before that I'd like to factor in now. And the reason why I would do that, like I said, is to allow for people who may have their hands that are not necessarily free and, accessibility issues. Furthermore, on this particular insight and how it changes my mind on like the design and how things are going on, I'm also considering now entering a tournament mode. As an example, maybe you don't want big text all the time. Maybe you don't want scrolling. Well, maybe then we can add a toggle for those who don't need the accessibility of it. Let's say they don't need it while they're not at a tournament. But at a tournament, they would like something that makes it easier to view. Then we could add what is called like a tournament mode toggle, which would put like, bigger information in there, easier to click buttons, screen pages that don't require you to scroll and scroll and scroll to get where you need to go. Search bars that make navigation easier, etc. The third insight, I would say, was very revealing to me, came from the marketing trends section down here. Specifically mentioning notification fatigue. I also guess that this would fit into also the competitor section because we're discussing Discord specifically. Where we're talking about Discord notifications and getting burnt out by them. Specifically, I asked her if she has notifications set on for them, which she responded to me. No, I keep them all off unless it's specifically for, event times and information like that. We discussed how specifically that can cause burnout. How this reinforces my design. It really does kind of reinforce that radar concept. Just in the context, she does want some sort of social aspect to it, but she doesn't want it to just be another platform like Facebook or Discord, etc. She wants to have kind of like a bit of both. So this would essentially, my attempts at this point would essentially seek to fix that. It would also seek to fix whether or not events are post too soon or too last minute. We want to give people enough lead time in to know that this tournament's coming up. They can prepare for it, get to it, etc. And one of those ways I would do that is, especially with local hobby shops that may have reoccurring tournaments like weekly or bi-weekly, etc. We can add a future watch feature, which will ping them just once to remind them, hey, this weekly event's coming up. Maybe it's something that we could possibly also have integration in, whether it's into your Apple Calendar or your Google Calendar, etc. I think those would solve those issues rather, because it would give the user enough time ahead of time without burning them out with ping, 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 ping. Now, I do want to talk about what I think I could have done better during this interview. I know I kind of talked a little bit more than I would have liked to, but I just want to make sure that we were on the same topic about the questions. But specifically, one thing I wanted to follow up on that I wish I had pressed harder on was the magic wand question. Specifically, I asked if you could wave a magic wand and change one thing about how Discord or Instagram handles event listings, what would you change? And that she had followed up with, she wants hosts to post on multiple different platforms. She acknowledges that they can't all be like the same layout and everything like that. They have to be tailored to the audience of the app. However, though, I wanted to follow up on that, or I feel like I should have followed up with, why do you think hosts aren't currently doing that? To get her idea on, like, whether or not she might be a situation where is it a laziness thing? Is it just a situation where it's become like more tedious than it is beneficial to use? What is it exactly that prevents hosts from using this feature more effectively, if you will? That being said, I do think that this overall interview did change my perspective, especially when it's coming to the social versus like radar aspect of it. Um, I think it's not. I think Spin Detect is not just. It's turning out not just to be about finding a simple location, but finding and filtering out wrong locations so you can find the right like information for you, if that makes sense. Whether it be the right community for you, where you can routinely go weekly and just find your people that you could play Beyblade with, or maybe you just want to go and watch tournaments and watch the professional players do it at the highest level. I do think that this app has a place for I would say those features and more to really carve out the niche and really bring the Beyblade X community back into what I believe is its rightful place in the spotlight. But yeah, hopefully these insights will help me tailor the prototype better towards that direction. But yeah, thank you guys for listening to my reflection, and I hope you guys have a great day. Ja, matane.